How's it going? It's Friday, doing a bit of Unity stuff today. Hope you've all had a good week. Made it to the end of the week. Hopefully that means some of you can relax now. And for the rest of you, hopefully it's not too bad a weekend ahead. We'll be working on our Unity game, Revolt Overthrow. We are doing the controller gamepad input kind of scheme, I suppose. Just so basically, want to make sure the game can be completely controllable via a gamepad. So you don't have to use a mouse and keyboard. The whole game just straight off the controller, which is showing some interesting challenges. But it's good. It's a good test to see how I would achieve certain things. So we'll work through this. It wasn't in the original scope, but it means the scope is for all future games as well. So we'll switch over to Unity, and we'll continue working on this input. So main thing we're looking at here is the main menu, but it's going to apply to any menu system where we want to control a selection. Let's turn the music down in my ear a little bit. Maybe turn it down on the actual video here. Don't need it to be quite so loud. Just need to be filling the silence. Overlay expert needs to be authorized. Let's do this. Granted. Awesome. Okay. Let's make sure my Steam. Yes. Stream Dev works fine. We have a Panda. Awesome. So I don't know how far we got. Did we get as far as testing? Let's give it a test and see what we actually get. I think, oh yeah, we did get it working, but I think the delay was the issue. Let's turn off the music. So there we go. So it's fine if you do something like this, but if you wiggle the joystick, I kind of want it to only apply the delay once landing on there. Before it's kind of the problem is when you're holding it down. So move up, for instance. So if move input, move up. So I think what I want to happen is to reset this move input. Can we actually, that isn't a read only, so we can set that. So if delay is less than 20. We kind of want to reset that back to 0. So let's think through the process. So we hold up, so y is going to be greater than 0. Ideally, it's probably could be 1, I think. So move input.y is 1, which means we move up. Hey bot, hello, how's it going? Good to see you. Hope you've had a good week. Hope you're staying cool. What's up? I'm doing pretty good myself here. Quite warm, so if it gets too warm we may end the stream a bit earlier tonight, but we'll see. See how we go. So where's this move? Is move inputs. Is move. Oh yeah, so it checks this first. So I might need to split this out into 2 separate delays, but we'll see if we can work with it this way. So basically, we wanted to see if we can moving to the next selection if the delay has been satisfied. I'm great. It's Friday. What's on the agenda for today? We're still working on our control the whole game with a gamepad. So the game works with a mouse and keyboard. Well, works with a mouse with assisted keyboard controls. So I'm trying to make the whole game playable with just the gamepad. So I know some games on Steam say partial controller, which is effectively this is what this is. This is partial controller. At the moment, I want to make it full control. So it's just working out how we're going to do things like that. So at the moment, I'm allowing a player to hold up on the controller and cycle through the options, and then hold down to cycle down for the options, which works fine as long as they hold one direction or the other. But if they wiggle the thumbstick, it basically skips over options. This could be probably a lesser seen bug, but that's because this delay here. So rather than jumping to the last option, or the top option or the bottom option, skipping everything, it waits 20 frames before it moves on to the next item in the menu. But this delay applies to both up and down. So if you push up, it then goes, oh, has it been 20 frames before you can move to the next one? But if you push up, hold up, while you're holding it, hold it for 10 frames, for instance, but then immediately push down, it does the remaining. Let's just double check it. Push down, move down, index minus. Oh yeah. Set selection, place direction button. It just makes, yeah. So X. Oh, maybe that should be Y as well. Let's try this. Because there we go. I'm resetting X, but I'm not resetting Y. See what difference this makes. Why don't you consume the event in a function, and after 20 frames you call the move in the latest direction only? Consume the event in a function. So the way it's working at the moment is we have a, what's it called? It's an input action. So we have an action. So the action gets written into IA move, input action move, and that stores a 2D value. So either plus or minus on the X or plus or minus on the Y, whichever way. So that gets stored into here. Like a value has been added. So effectively, this is the event. So it captures an action. Now, if the action has been performed, then we go on to running the function move on move input. And then if the action is cancelled, then we set the 2D value to 0. So it basically centers the thumbstick on there. So it stops it from drifting. Or what if you only assign IA move every 20 seconds, if you know what I mean. Move inputs. That's effectively what I've got. Is that what I've got here? 20 frames. So yeah, 20 frames. So on move input, on move. Where's on move? On move input. So on move input. Yes, I could do it here. I could say only assign that value. So rather than the is move there, I could put it here. Let's try that. Let's try that bot. So this is where the value gets held. So on move input. And then it's checking that basically every frame. Selection delay 0, move input magnitude is not. Yeah, so that checks to see if there is a value. So I'm kind of, yeah, at the moment I'm checking, are we moving? If so, has the delay been completed? Then in which direction? So I think I have over engineered this. Let's put the check in here. So we want to do the basically this if statement. Let's grab, probably want that bit as well. So put this into here. So rather than returning, because we're not returning anything here. So if it's less than 20, we don't do anything. But then if it's greater than or equal to 20, greater than or equal to 20, then capture the input. Let's try it that way. Let's go for this. If it's that, and then we want to actually tell it to reset the delay back to 0. This already feels like a better solution bot. I think you want something here. So that means we don't need to look at the... don't need to do a check anymore. So this... so I could... if I grab that out of there and just go... just for the sake of not... losing too much context. So if true, so it's always going to run this now. If it's greater than, do that. If it's less than, do that. But if let's have a look. So move inputs. So I do want to reset that to 0. Where is it? Here. Move input is equal to... that's effectively what this is, isn't it? So we don't need to set both of those. I had a funny thought one day. What if I made a language called English? Programming language. Oh. It'd be effectively that writing pseudocode, just literally plain language. So the syntax would be like... right. I am him to the terminal. To terminal. Ask what's your name and store it in some variable. And variable names can contain spaces. How would you define a variable name? I suppose like you would in a registry, a assembly code, wouldn't it? Anything that exists after the write to memory command will be considered the variable location. Because variables are just handles to memory. So you'd have to have a line that sort of effectively goes right to memory. Sounds like it'd be a nightmare to make it pass it, yeah. Like if you think assembly, you'd have your input to memory bus command, and then you followed by where in the memory you're storing it. So variable names are just fancy handles for memory storage. It'll be interesting to achieve it. I know you could probably do something as a proof of concept using Python. Because I know you can alias functions, can't you, in Python? I don't know about the spaces, but I've seen some funny aliasing in Python, where people have just basically aliased certain functions and then written using the aliases. I think this should work. Let's give us a test spot. Let's see what we get. Or just write a dumb parser. Nothing fancy. Yeah. Right, let's see what happens here. I think you've cracked it, bot. It's not skipping any of them now. Or did that skip there, or was it just quick? There's a little bit of skipping still. I think that might be another issue though. You see how it jumps back again. Weird, yeah. Like if I hold it down, it does what I expect. It moves and then carries on, but then occasionally, look, it jumps to continue, and then it jumps back up to options. That to me looks like an indexing error, but with your code, I don't think that's possible. It could be, it could still be indexing, but I can't see why, but I'm not willing to rule anything out right now. Like if I push down, if I keep clicking the button with a pause myself on the input, there's no issue. Now if I hold down, then hold up, and hold down, hold up, hold down, hold up. Well, that doesn't seem to be an issue there. I think the issue occurs is when I change direction, hold and then change. Well, it seems to be behaving now. Is it only the thumbstick? Maybe the thumbstick doesn't center properly and it jumps. But how does it do that? How do they go from quit all the way to... No, story times with some influencer video have code with Reviewing time with Hug Junkie. Code reviewing time. That could be an unsuccessful YouTube series. It could be just a thumbstick. Let's try it with just the D-pad. It's pretty responsive with just the D-pad, so maybe it's a thumbstick errors. The D-pad is either 0 or 1. It's digital. The thumbstick is 0 to 1, including every decimal in between. Yeah, I can't get it to do anything crazy with the D-pad. It's how it jumps though. Do you run ceiling on the thumbstick's value? I could, to be honest, for this purpose of this, it doesn't need absolute values. So I could just do ceiling on it, to be honest, because it's the same input. It's basically still reading. Yeah. This context.read value vector 2 is just reading the up and down input, whether it's a D-pad or thumbstick. How would I ceiling this? Because it could be, unless I go. Is there a function I can do it here? If not, I'll just have to do it afterwards. Oh, it could be that. Normalized. So that will normalize. Makes this vector have a magnitude of 1. Or normalized returns a normalized vector based on the current vector. The normalized vector has a magnitude of 1 as is in the same direction as the current vector. Returns a 0 vector if the current vector is too small to be normalized. So there's a vector 2. Yeah, vector 2 is got x and y. That's what I'm looking for, the normalized. Yeah, so a vector 2 is 2 decimals. So it's a decimal going in the y direction and a decimal going in the x direction. Vector 3 is a decimal in the x, the y, and the z. Let's try normalized. So I think effectively that's going to push it to 0 if it's close to 0, push it to 1 if it's close to 1. I think. Let's try that. I should give you the direction vector. Okay. Let's see what values we get here. This behaves a bit cleaner. But it's a good thing to know. If you're using thumbsticks for more digital input, and just turning that analog into a digital without doing any additional maths. So basically, if it's up, y should be +1, correct. And if it's down, y would be -1. If it's left, x would be -1. If it's right, x would be +1. And I say for digital, for analog inputs, it could be anywhere between 0 and 1. Still a little jumpy though. That's all the function does, at least in Godot. Okay, yeah. But I'm being pedantic here, because who's going to sit here and wiggle the thumbstick? But I want to make sure players don't get an unpredictable experience. I think what I should do, just to be on the absolutely certain here, is probably put print out the value of that. Yeah, I was thinking if I print a log. Well, I'll be grabbing, because context is the input action. So the IA underscore move is an action. I don't think I can pull the value of the action. The action is called the trigger, I suppose. But I could print the value of the vector 2 within the action, which is this move input. So let's do that. Debug log, move inputs, move input. Yes. So this will print a log, the vector 2 value. We can see what's coming out. And see if this normalized is actually doing what I'm expecting to do. Let's go code to console. So I could look this up. I could do some searches on forums or whatever, but it's good to learn this as you go. It is still decimals. We use the D-pad, it doesn't return anything there. But we use the thumbstick. Have you considered that the thumbstick calls it more often, maybe? Possibly. Yeah, it might be calling it twice, and therefore it moves twice in one frame. How do you move the selected button? Let's just stop this. So once we're detecting that we're moving, if we're moving up, as in the value of y is above 0. We're moving up. I'm basically taking the selected button index number and then minusing 1, and then setting the selection based on that index. So we've got clamp. I can't remember what I did for clamp here. Okay, clamp just guarantees it's not outside the range. Okay, so making sure that the button index isn't outside the range, then button array set to the index. So I'm selecting it based on an array of buttons. So all the buttons in the menu in an array, it selects that button in the array, and that makes it turn red. So because the selection color is red. Won't it be better if you carouseled the value instead of clamping it? Oh yeah, I suppose so. But then it could quite easily spin around, I suppose. Go cycling around. Might help with a bug, but 100%. Might help with a bug, but it will 100% help with the user experience. Yeah. So as far as rather than clamping, as you say, if it is If it bottoms out the range, then we want to basically push it to the top of the range. If it tops out the range, we want to push it to the bottom of the range. So the button's length -1 is the maximum. So if index is greater than buttons.length -1, we set it to 0. Just keep in mind you'd have to implement carouseling yourself. Simple if yeah. I like that. I was thinking about doing that anyway, but we can do that. Hey Max, how's it going? Good evening, hugs and all in chat. How are we doing? I'm warm. I have my shirt unbuttoned. But we shall persist despite the perspiring. Let's do this carousel thing then. So we'll keep this here because I like it, but we'll go back to that if we need to. So we do an if. So if selected button index is greater than buttons.length -1, then we want to set that back to 0. Oh, need our semicolon. If else selected button index is below 0, we want to set it to the maximum. So this should carousel it. Let's see how this looks. Let's save the project. Thankfully, fingers crossed, I've not crashed Unity for a long time. But the crashes were physics engine based. Because the clamp function is the only other thing messing with the index, and the bogey seems to have it with its index, it might somehow be the clamp function that makes it less sense. Yeah. So it's worth checking these things. Right, let's actually play. The clamp was there just to sort of make sure I don't get any weird numbers. Okay, so that's not going off the bottom. It's not carouseling. So I'm continuously pushing up. Ah, is it picking up? Camper is completely necessary. Wait, in what function did you add to carousel? The one that kind of changes the index. So when it goes to change which button is being selected, it does a quick check. So if the index is less than 0, because 0 is new game. If it's less than 0, it means we've moved above new game, in which case we want to set selection, yes. So this is where it actually grabs the array and selects it. So it comes into here. This might be -1 when it enters the function, in which case if it's less than 0, such as -1, we want to actually set it to the maximum. But if it is greater than the maximum length of buttons, then we want to set it to 0 and then we set the button. but it depends if buttons.length -1 doesn't need a -1. I think the logging the index would be more useful than the thumbstick vector. Yeah. Although I am getting some interesting results from logging the I'm going to head off now, buddy. I'll be bright and early morning for our trip to Jollywood. Yeah. So I'm not going to be too late tonight because, yeah, I'll have to be doing a lot of driving. I'd like to be quite conscious for that. I'm pushing left and right. The only thing in the thumbstick is any form of stick drift, it might be affecting this. But it shouldn't be interfering with the up and the down unless it's pulling up a number. Please be, yeah. I was confused whether should -1 when working with lists and indexes. Yeah, indexes are always confused me for a long time, but I've got used to them now. Stick drift should be eliminated by dead zones. Yeah, I should probably really have a dead zone already dealt with by Unity. I don't know if Unity has a built-in dead zone or you have to turn it on, or but it's picking up tiny little values like 0.01. I could build in the dead zone scenario from the where is it? Yeah, so I could put the dead zone into this bit effectively. So if y is greater than 0, could be if y is greater than 0 point something. Do you need the x vector from value from the vector? I do not. But I'm not actually working with that. Nowhere it actually mentions it. Why not grab the y and sealing the value? Oh yeah, true, I could sealing it there. So I could sealing it here. So move input.y. I'm grabbing just a y here. Oh no, actually, when you know, when on the input, can I specify that I only want? Because it's detecting that an input has been put in. So on input, unless I do a further. So I probably need to check the y value at this point because it's just picking the vector 2 up. I could, because normalize isn't doing anything, I don't think. So I could lose that for now. I do kind of just want the y, don't I? I could grab just the y. Place normalize with y, yeah. Let's put another variable in here. We'll make it a serialized one. So we can see it on the private. This could be a float. Oh, okay. I like that suggestion from the Copilot. We'll go with that. Private. Float. We won't go to the delay because we've already got that. Move input y equals. I don't need to adjust the value. That's what we're writing to. Also, isn't normalized a function? Yeah, it didn't insist on the brackets for some reason. Anyway, it wasn't doing anything for us, so we'll forget that for now. So rather than move input, we'll go we'll keep that there because just a reminder of previous function. So we're grabbing just a Y there. Saw a clip of Green Day asking whether they support AI, and they were like, "Yeah, we support American Idiot." We even made that. Yeah, I love people kind of trolling with answers, whether they intended to or not. I do now need to go through. We'll comment that out. Need to make sure anywhere I'm using move input is replaced with the Y value. Move input Y equals 0. So that's resetting there. So that's putting it there. Let's change that to the Y. So move inputs. So that can just be move input Y. And that can be move input Y. And that can be move input Y. Control F. What's Control F? Oh, find. Yeah, I tend to use the highlight feature. So that if I double click on that, you can see everything's highlighted and it shows down the right hand side here. Oh, they were also like, can AI throw a TV out the window? No, but American Idiot can. Oh, they got a point. Okay, happy with that. So that now grabs just the Y value, and then it would debug just the value, Y value. Not used to highlight features, also showing in the minimap. Not used to the highlight feature, also showing in the minimap. Oh, the map on the right. Yeah, it's quite handy that. I've used that a few times at work. So you click on anything and you see it instantly highlights. Go, oh, okay, I can see I've got several instances across the whole script. And yeah, the find feature is good if you want to jump to everything. But I've only really started paying attention to the map on the right. I didn't quite understand what the different coloured bars and everything were, and the same on the left here, like what's that? And go, well, this is stuff I've changed recently, so I can see recent changes. So it's useful once you start paying attention to it. Find feature helps when the file's super. Oh yeah, if this was like if this was some of the projects I do at work, then find is going to be far more useful. I have script files that I keep all of my SQL calls in. So I have a file that does SQL calls for just one part of the software, and I have another file that does SQL calls in another part of the software. So I can just go to that file and go, well, everything in this script file relates to this part of the system and makes calls to SQL. And it could be several pages long. Something as simple as just pulling back an ID number or writing a single value to a table to pulling an entire data set. But I just keep all those functions in one. If I want to find certain features, and rather than scrolling through, it would take me sort of a good 30 seconds to scroll through the entire file. But then I also like the collapse feature, where you can just collapse stuff down. So I tend to do that. I collapse it so I can just quickly scan for the function names. I use the minimap to see lines with errors. That's good for the errors. That's crazy. At least you know where to keep them SQL stuff. Yeah, I'm quite good with that. I have like an entire folder structure. I try and keep stuff modular and compartmented, because otherwise you end up with functions attached to forms and to different things, and yeah, it kind of doubles the script files, but I'd rather keep things together. It means if I delete a form or replace a form, the actual functionality remains, and I can just replace or reuse the functionality a lot easier. Right, so we're pulling the Y. So we're using that there. Let's put a little, where's the threshold? Input threshold. There we go. If that is greater than input threshold, less than minus input threshold. And we can adjust the threshold then as a kind of sort of dead zone. Let's see if that helps, having that in there. Give that a save. So it could be the dead zone that's the issue, or it could be, yeah, but we've simplified things now. Still not carouseling, but showing this code works and doesn't work at the same time. Let's run it. True? Effectively a lot of code. That's weird. I'm tapping up and it's kind of like, you can see the log in the bottom left is only showing positive values, which confirms that I'm pushing up on the thumbstick. So it kind of looks like it's carouseling, but not constantly. Let's try it on the down. So we should only have negative values. So the indexing still has something weird, I think. But I'm not sure if you can hear the clicking where it's being filtered out. But you can see at least the inputs in the bottom left, how fast I'm pushing the thumbstick. There's a slight delay there. I might need to capture the index now and see what's coming through. This makes no sense at all. Yeah. Let's capture the index and see what we have. So I'm pretty happy that yeah, I'm pretty happy that this is doing what I expected to. Like the input value is yeah, I'm not seeing anything I don't expect. Special hatred for UI UX coding. Yeah, a lot of people that love coding, just generally don't like the UI UX. Although my boss does. He loves UI UX. He's all about it, which makes we make a good team because I'll do all this coding. I'll do a basic UI UX stuff, and then he'll like check it out and go, okay, this UI and UX is not. It's not going to be comfortable. Like, can we change this? Can we have a bit more uniformity? Can we sort of reduce the amount of clicks that come through here? And he'll just basically tidy up the whole experience. And it feels tedious from my point of view. That's really cool, yeah. Right, so, but then he's not as good of this kind of stuff. He knows this kind of stuff. He can do this kind of stuff. But his specialty is UI UX. You'll stare at an input screen and go, no, this is not going to work very well. Or you say, oh, like there's a lot of data on this screen. We really need to get this particular value to be visible to the user upon opening this. Like they want to be able to open it, and that's exactly the value they want to see. And making sure we highlight the important fields, and like if you have an entire line of entire line of data, like certain ones we want to be like highlighted in yellow, go boom, that's the one that people go look at, and then they'll look at the rest of the line. What's your specialty? I'd say forward thinking on structure. I like structuring stuff, like as I say, like keeping all the functions together, trying to make sure we have a robust foundation and a good structure around how things are put together, and trying to future proof stuff. I'm very good at that. Like I make lots of little functions which are the architecture design. Yes, I'm very good at architecture. It's partially because I never used to be, but when I did my qualification in software engineering, they kind of drill that into you. System architect, yeah. They kind of drill it into you. So okay, it doesn't seem like it makes sense now. Like if you make a very small demo application that has one screen, why are you making such a complex architecture for just a one screen application? And say, well, it's not for the one screen application, it's for when you make a multi-screen application. You know the structure and you know how to make it so you can scale it up to a massive system. And that kind of helped me a lot, put a lot of things into perspective. Actually, no, that if you keep that structure, no matter how big your application is, then you're always going to do it the proper way. That's really cool, yeah. And I like that as well, because I could quite easily put a huge, messy thing. And I didn't, when I first started doing stuff in college, I didn't care that if it's spaghetti, so what? It works. What's the matter with spaghetti? It works. And it's getting your head around. It works now in its current structure, but if you want to add something or change something or take something away, it's going to be near impossible to manage. So it's thinking of the future. So that's kind of my mindset. It's a W mindset. Yeah. Thank you. So I'm trying to apply that to game dev. And again, when I first started making this project, because I didn't have a plan as to what this would finally become, I couldn't exactly build an architecture because I didn't know what the final thing was going to look like. And that becomes a big problem anyway. Like you get given a brief and the brief changes, so the architecture no longer suits, but you kind of have to like tack on parts to the architecture. It's not the best. If you think of like a wizard's tower with multiple little things coming off it, it's what a lot of stuff ends up being. But the original tower for the wizard is the original brief. So you build the tower, great, because that's what the brief was. It's adding the little things on the side of the tower where the brief changes and go, actually we need this entire extra bit. Great analogy, yeah. Literally came up with that on the spot. I'm going to capture this Y value here. It's going to be down here, isn't it? No, it's not the Y. It's not the Y. It's the index, isn't it? Index. We want to capture the index. So that's changing that. So we want to capture it prior to manipulating it. So debug.log selected button index is that. And then debug.log. It says clamping because we saw it there. After carouseling. It's not about carouseling, but I'm able to check that. It's for my eyes only, anyway, and yours. So this one video of a guy, he's like, how do you wind down after a hard day? And he says, listen to Master of Puppets on repeat for an hour. Yeah, I can understand that. A lot of metal music is good to unwind to. People think, what? This crazy heavy stuff. And no, it's the heavier it is, the more chaotic it is. It kind of resets your mind, I suppose. I used to be able to sleep to metal. The constant noise. Not done so for a while. I tend to listen to more chill stuff these days. So it's a 1, becomes a 1. One. Why is that not actually reading? We might have found an issue. I was expecting to see more. Feel I'd wake up and shit my pants when something like To Whom the Bell Tolls starts playing. That's, yeah, For Whom the Bell Tolls. That's correct. Yeah, so this is quite telling here. The index isn't. So index 4 after carouseling 0. Ladies and gentlemen, I think we found the problem. Yeah. So index 1, 1, index 2, 2. The index isn't going to 3, but somehow it's still moving. Why? But why? Is that Ryan Reynolds in Harold and Kumar meme? Where he's wearing the surgical. Yeah, is that? But why? Wait, what's the length? It should be 0, 1, 2, 3, but I'm getting 4. Like, it's a. Am I doing something silly here? So 0 should select the first one. 1 the second one, 2 the third one, 3 the fourth one. But then if this becomes 4, if it's 4, then you should do the -1, otherwise you shouldn't. Ah, it should be. This 4 should do the -1. Yeah, so if it's greater than the length, you quickly just log the button's length. Yeah, let's be absolutely sure we're getting the right number here. Because if this is not what I expect it to be, then this could be also where the problem is. Let's hide these two. Because this whole thing is hinging on that value. So I expect button's length to be 4. I'm minusing 1 to go 3. Programming second guess everything, yeah. So I expect this to be 4. By minusing 1, that makes it 3. So if the index is greater than 3, meaning 4, then we set it to 0. If the index is less than 0, meaning -1, then we set it to 3, which is the fourth one. Like, array starting at 0 still catches me out. I know it starts at 0, but when you have to do this -1, because when you count the length of an array, it starts at 1, but when you actually index the array, it starts at 0. So many times I have length -1. So let's have a see. Let's have a see what we have. So the length is 4. So that's what I expected to see. It doesn't matter what I do, it doesn't change the length. This is good. If that changed, then we have issues. But yeah, the length is and remains 4. So if that's 4 and -1, that's 3. Length in some languages counts like 1, 2, 3, and others count 0, 1, 2, which screws me over. Oh yeah, different languages. So far, all Microsoft.net's base languages count 0, which is fortunate if you're doing a lot of corporate stuff. But yeah, when you're switching languages, you go, no, it's I think SQL starts at 1. Can't remember. I tend to avoid doing arrays in SQL. What I could do here, because this button length is not going to change. It's not going to change. So we could probably do storing it. Let's put it up here. So we're not constantly testing it anyway. So private. It seemed that it did on some occasions, but not others. There we go. Int button length. I didn't particularly want that to be an actual function. I'll actually just put that in here, but allow me to. We don't actually need the functional part of it. Buttons. Non-static field, private. Okay, we'll do that as a 0, and then we'll set it in the start function. Do it this way, because we're going to know upon starting up. Yeah, so we're setting it there. So button's length isn't going to change, nor should it change. And that means we don't need to do. It's pretty pointless in some ways, but we know for certain. Funny how your debug and how I debug, because I go to the function which I expect to run, which isn't running. Instead of debugging properly, I put this at the start of the function, print H, and wait and see if H is printed. Here's the laziness. It's a good... I've done similar things before. Like, I'm pretty sure this is the function that should be running. Like, I read the code in the function, all the code seems fine. Just to stop myself going insane, I just want to guarantee that this is the function that is running. Fortunately with .NET, because Visual Studio is the thing that's running the code, rather than just editing it, I can put stops in the code, and I can say put a stop here, and if it stops there, I know it's run the function. But because this is only editing and not running the code, yeah, stops don't really do much. I suppose it's fortunate in some ways, because you don't want the code just to hang and then the engine doesn't do anything. Right, so we're saying for certain button's length is going to be 4 and it's going to stay 4. I like breakpoints in Godot a lot. Yeah, I suppose because Godot's got the code editor built in. That's a great great feature to have. Right, I'm going to keep just this one on. So button index. So this would be whatever it is prior to it being changed. Works with externalizers too. Oh. That's interesting. I think because Visual Studio is connected to Unity, I think if I attach the session to Unity by running it here, I think I could probably use stops, but I haven't really tried that before. Because I can still build the code solution like this. And so, okay, everything's built, and go then attach. Let's try this. So I've never done this before, so it's actually attached now. You're attaching debugger if debug mode is switched off in your project. Oh, but it's turned off in your project. When Unity is in debug mode, C# performance is reduced, but you can attach a debugger. Switching to debug mode also recompiles and reloads all the scripts. You can attach debug mode temporarily if this edits a session. Cancel. Really nice setup if you have a fast system in mind, so you get a stack trace too. Yeah. So I can, by the looks of it, I can do that then. I just need to switch the project into debug mode, and then Visual Studio reacts to Unity. But I have to switch it on by the looks of it. And so you've got the C# debugger. So yeah, so it looks like I can do that. If I really need to, I can get the trace stack. If you attach VS Studio to Unity, you get stack trace. It looks like it, yeah. But the performance tanks because of it. Like, well, I could, very much like Godot, I suppose. So I need to have a good machine to handle that, which I kind of do here, and I have an even better machine sat downstairs ready to replace this machine. So when I do that, I'll probably do some more active stack tracing, certainly with the next project. But as I'm streaming as well, I don't want to take too many system resources. But it's good to know I can do that. Right, let's do some testing on that one. But this is only looking at what the value is going in as. This is only the value going in. How much more beefier is the new machine? A lot more beefier. Like this current machine that I'm streaming on right now and doing Unity is 12 years old. It's running an old I think it's a generation 4 Intel Core i7. So it's a generation. I think it's a generation 4 Core i7. And it's got a NVIDIA 1660 Super graphics card, which is pretty much down the bottom end for doing like VR. Now, if you want to do VR on this computer, it will handle VR, but it's literally entry level VR. So it's still pretty good. But the motherboard only has SATA connection, so I can't do NVMe drives, and it has DDR3 RAM. So it's a little bit on the older side. Let's say about 12 years old with upgrades. The new machine is a Ryzen 7. Gen 4 is crazy. I mean, it's a decent CPU, but Gen 4, yeah. DDR3, yeah, on the other side. Yeah, the new machine's DDR5. It's got a Ryzen 7 9850 Pro. I actually wrote my spec down in another Discord. I can tell you what my spec is. I will put it on my my channel once I start using it. Gallery. Yeah, so it's running on a Asus ROG X870E gaming motherboard. It's got AMD Ryzen 7 9850 X3D Pro processor. It's got 2 Corsair Vengeance 16 gig sticks of RAM running at 6000 megahertz. Excuse me, DDR5, who Richie McRich. I am broke now, I can tell you. I am broke now. Basically, I have to do a buy now, pay later to get all this. My brother bought me go big or go home. Yeah, like if I'm going to upgrade, I might as well get what I can get. Fortunately, my brother bought me a all-in-one liquid cooling CPU cooler with 3 fans. So I've got a nice big radiator with 3 fans on it. Also got a 850 watt PSU, which I was using in this machine, but I put the old PSU back in this machine to put the 850 into the new machine. Liquid cooling, good luck with that. I hope it works out. Yeah, because it's an all-in-one. It's a closed system. It's got a guaranteed leak-proof connectivity. Like if it leaks, then they basically cover me. So yeah, got leak-proof guarantee on that. Because it's all in one, don't have to worry about plumbing. Well, that's better. Still skeptical. Yeah, I wouldn't be sure about doing my own water cooling. I love the look of water-cooled systems, but I went for an all-in-one pre-made water-cooled system. So you've got the radiator, the pipes, and the pump, and you literally just bolt the pump onto the processor and then bolt the radiator to the case. That's it. That's it. Job done. I've got a 2 terabyte Gen 5 M.2 NVMe drive. So I've got a reasonable amount of space to get everything going. They look sick, not gonna lie, but never get the honor of building my own system. I'll stick to air cooling, yeah. I could have had air cooling, but if I'm going to be able to again, I thought go an AIO, sort of water cooled closed system. Because, yeah, why not? But yeah, it was not cheap. It was not cheap. I reckon once I finish building it, it's going to cost me about £2,000 total. Because I still haven't bought the graphics card for it yet. Graphics card is going to be a AMD 9070. And that's going to cost me about £500 to £600. But I'm saving up for that. So it hasn't got a graphics card, but because it's so powerful, I can play a lot of older games on just the motherboard and the processor. That's a lot of moolah. Yeah. Yeah, so it's kind of cleared my my bank out for the next few months. So that's not good, but it means I've got a computer that I'll keep going for another 12 years. So this one's lasted me 12 years. If £2,000 lasts me another 12 years. You'd be surprised what just a CPU can render regarding rendering graphics. Yeah, it's an older game now, but I played the remaster of BioShock 1 as a quick. I just picked something from my Steam library that I knew would work. I went, okay, remaster BioShock 1, and yeah, it played beautifully. I can pull some modern titles on 10th Gen i3. Wow. So Ryzen 7 should be able to do a lot. Yeah. Yeah, it's the top Ryzen 7 on the market now. I think it's the speed of it's 5 points. When it's boosted, it's 5.7 gigahertz on boost? It's a lot. Laptop integrated GPU, by the way, with good FPS and finished graphics. Nice. Yeah, it's good what you can actually achieve. So 1, 2, 3, 4. One, two. Like, how can I? In fact, it's not actually running that function, but it's still switching it somehow. 5 gigahertz is a lot of hertz. It is a lot of hertz. But this is a 4.7. Like my fourth generation i7 is 4.7 gigahertz, which is still pretty powerful. So that's why I've made this one last as long as it has, because it still works fine, but it has its limitations. I could keep putting money into it, but I've pretty much reached near enough the ceiling of what I can achieve without without wasting money on it. It's better to put that money into a new system, which I have. 0, 1, 2, 3. How am I moving up and down between these two options? But that index isn't being triggered. In what instance would this change? I'm just going to comment that out. Because to my understanding, this is the only line of code which changes the button. But I should see this should run. So I'm going to save that. Recently learned I recently learned that my CPU is only 2 cores, while I thought it was a quad core. Turns out it's 2 physical cores, and these cores are split into 2 virtual cores, so 4 virtual cores. Yeah. Now a lot of the processors have 2 threads going to get 2 virtual cores. But it's good because I think the way it's explained to me is that you can basically have two instructions being sent to the same processor, alternating, and because they're being sent that quickly, it's effectively switching the virtual core, and it's just processing one after the other. So as far as the system is concerned, it's processing that quickly that it has 2 virtual cores for every core. Can you log before and after the carousel? Yeah. I just want to see what's happening here. So it shouldn't be changing without the log happening. Somehow it's changing despite the log not being logged. So that doesn't make sense, yeah. So I want to see, it should still be logging, but it shouldn't be changing up here. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is the numbers before the carousels. So when it gets to 4, that actually changes to a 0. So that checks out. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm not seeing anything on there, so that's fine. But I'm pushing down and it's not going to 3. I go 3, 4. Cube word should. Let's go up. So it should now go backwards through the numbers. So 3, 2, 1, 0, minus 1, 2. What? Oh yeah. Minus 1, 2, 1, 0. Minus 1, 2, 0. So the minus 1 gets turned to a 3. Okay, let's turn on the actual button. So that's now actually going to start selecting buttons again. And we'll turn back on the logging for after the carousel. Let's actually correct the spelling carouseling, as you've kindly have that in the chat. I can borrow the spelling there. What have I missed out there? Oh, it's not a C, that's why. US. So we should have a selected button index, then selected button index after carouseling, and then it does the select. So if it's minus 1, makes it 3. If it's greater than 3, makes it 0. I'm not sure if my spelling is correct either. It's just what I have in my card. It looks right. I can tell if a spelling is correct. I just don't know what its spelling is until I see it. That makes sense. I couldn't tell you what the spelling is, but I can confirm the spelling. What are we doing for time? Oh yeah, about another half an hour at most. I am slowly melting. Yeah, 100% sense, yeah. Yeah, at times people ask me, oh, what is the spelling of this word? And I go, I have no idea. Try telling me what you think the spelling is and I'll tell you if you're right or not. Right, so that's now running. So index 1 after carouseling 1. No change in the indexing, but somehow we've moved. No change in the indexing, but somehow we've moved. No change in the indexing, but somehow we've moved again. So we are moving up and down, but the index isn't being read out. Oh no, it is. No, it's not. How am I moving without the index changing every time? It's confusing. Is it just deceiving? Let's clear the log again. What if it did on the screen to on screen debugging? I'll actually put a value on the screen, like a UI label or an index instead of logging it. Oh yeah, might help. This is true. Yeah, I could do with something just there, just telling me what it is. Just throwing desperate thoughts, yeah. Right, so we got a 3. That moved up without logging. That moved up without logging. That moved up, but it jumped. Now if I clear that, so that's a 3. So I moved up 3 times. It's not actually logged. It's not done that log. It's not done that log. Yeah, it's run that code. Ah, yeah, logs plagued me in math in school, plaguing me in new in Unity. Yeah. I don't understand. How is it running this code but not logging? Because when I comment that out, it doesn't run that code, obviously, and therefore it doesn't show anything. My first thought was, is there something else that is doing this at the same time? Like, am I selecting this value somewhere else in some other method, and that's why it's jumping? If I comment this line, nothing happens. But somehow that line and that line doesn't run, but that seemingly does. Exactly how? Unity is just broken. It feels like it. I suppose the only thing I can do is attach the editor and go into debug mode and actually see it line by line. Quantum entanglement, it feels like it. So buttons.select. Is there anything from this whole thing? So buttons is a button. So an array of button, and part of the button built-in functionality is the select command. So .select, so button.select sets that button is the selected on-screen UI. By selecting that button out of the array with that index, and then selects it. Now let's have a look. Let's stop that code. Canvas. So where is the buttons in this instance? So I'm running the scripts as part of the scripts attached to the camera. because that's the one thing that was guaranteed on there. What I should probably do is attach the script into main, but then main disappears, so that's why it's in the canvas. That's the reason why it's there. Because the camera always exists. Although I could attach it to the canvas because the canvas is already there. Never mind, doesn't really matter where it is. Do you think it's fair if I lay on Shadow's lap since he sleeps on mine? I have rested my head gently on the cats before. Like, so basically just not on them, but like up to them, like pushed up against them. So I'm wearing them like a hat. So these buttons, the buttons. Where's the buttons? So the buttons is a serialized field. Oh, it's not there, is it? It's on keyboard controls, that's why. Yeah. So here we go. Probably leave it with no hair if I attempt to shadow. Yeah, so here's the actual script we're running here. So we have the new game button, we have the continue button, the options button, the quit button. So we have element 0, 1, 2 and 3. So this is the array that I'm cycling. And we've got these button objects assigned in here. Now I do need to change the input system to be a global input system. So that's the current form that Unity prefers. At the moment it's a private input system. Well, the input system is global, but it's being referenced privately, if that makes sense. Rather than being referenced globally. Frequency interesting how you... I have no idea how badly I want to know how it's going to be solved. Yeah, these kind of things is head scratchers. So if that's the array, cycling the array, so that array is manually set. How is it, if the only place that we're interacting with buttons, so where we're interacting, we're pulling the buttons in from the properties there. We're taking the length, we're not changing anything there. We've already got the length there, so we're using the length. That's not... We're setting the selected button there, and we're not doing anything else. So the only time we manipulate anything to do with that array of buttons is here. Okay, so set selection happens twice. And that's if we move up or we move down. So let's put some logs into here then. We should see if we're moving up or if we're moving down. Now there shouldn't be any issues with seeing these. If I push up, I should see it go up. If I push down, I should see it go down. That should be pretty straightforward. Someone should make a movie about programmers, but actual programmers, which fully depicts life of a hobbyist dev. Yeah, a little documentary movie would be quite fun to... Actually, I could make the movie and star in it. So move down, button index 1 after caret saying 1. Move down, index 2 after caret saying 2. Yes, this is our ticket to Hollywood. So I've just hit up, and there's no console to say we moved up. Up again, no console to say we moved up. And now we've got a console to say move down, index 3 after caret saying 3. There's something weird going on here. Let's go back to here. So that means this function isn't always running. This function isn't always running. Which is what runs this function. And yet somehow that is happening. If it's not, the move up and down comes from here. Spooky Scary Unity. I'm wondering if there is... Have I somehow doubled up the functionality somewhere? I kind of know, because I've commented the code out. It doesn't work. Genius idea. What's your genius idea? Remove the references to the buttons. What, these? Ah, so we're not in here. So we got effectively got an empty. And see where it breaks. Yeah. Let's go. Can we go none? How do we remove this? I don't actually go to it. Oh yeah, just do that. So it is a 0 length array now. The array has nothing. Hit save on there. So what will happen in the code? So this is empty. Because that is empty. That should be 0. If that is 0, that becomes -1. So if -1, then make it 0. So it's greater than -1, make it 0. That's 0 and set to -1. Let's go in the break. It's just been interesting to see where it breaks. Let's hit save. If it starts working, then I'm going to be very, very confused. Because it shouldn't work. It should error near enough instantly. Okay, so we got move down, index 1 after cancelling 0. Index out of range exception. Index was outside the bounds of the array. Our window starts moving. Right, I think it's crashed. Yeah, so it crashed on line 99. So we can't select -1. Still try to do the dot select. Maybe comment that line up. Yeah. Comment that up. Yeah, I know. I reloaded the code mid execution. Let's reset project. So it's not going to run that anymore. It has nothing in the array. The array is empty. Nothing is supposed to happen at all. Right, so it's still doing the carousel and logging because we've still got it active. So pushing down. I'm not sure how easy it's going through in the stream, but we got the actual readout of the Y value over here. I see the Y value. Cool. Well, it seems to be logging a lot better. Still not consistent, but it's still logging. But we want nothing on the screen changing. So we learned nothing from moving the reference. Yeah, we learned it's not necessary to do that. Let's put the references back in. Let's open the array up and then put the buttons back in. Continue. Options. And quit. Absolute dumpster fire. It feels like it, yeah. Right, now with that array back in there, we'll still keep that commented out. Just see how it changes with that. Right, so it now has an array of stuff. So down index 1, carousel 1. Down 2, carousel 2. Down 3, carousel 3. Down 4, carousel 0. Down 1, carousel 1. Down 2, carousel 2. Down 3, carousel 3. Down 4, carousel 0. So the carousel seems to be working on the down. Let's go up. So up, -1, carousel 3. Up 2, carousel 2. Up 1, carousel 1. It's not going up any further. Oh yeah, up 0, carousel 0. Up -1, carousel 3. So it's kind of working. That was the original bug. Maybe the threshold is too high for the where is it? Yeah, because it's 0.5. Rather than 0.5, let's put that down to 0.2. And change it on there because this overrides the actual code once it's been set. Save that. See, it's a little bit more responsive. Down 1, carousel 1. Two, 2, 3, 3, 4, 0, 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 0. Let's go back up. 0, 0. -1, 3, 2, 2. So it's carousels seems to be working. Remember debugging my carousel function? Terrible memories. Right. So let's clear that. Let's switch back on the the set function. I could do. Oh, there it is. What I could do is put an extra step in here. Let's make a button. Make a button. Currently selected button. Button equals. Let's go button for now. I suppose just button. Doesn't need to be anything there. So button. And then down here, we'll go button is equal to button selected button. And then button on, what's that? On select null. I don't even know what that is. Why did it suggest that to me? What is selectable on select? Seemed pointless. Yeah. I don't know why Copilot recommended that one. But I just wanted it to select. I think the on select just basically passes an event if on this selection. I don't need that. I say Copilot can be useful sometimes, but other times it goes, I think this is what you want next. No, it's not. Right, so what I've got, I'm capturing the button from that array, then I'm selecting it, but between here, I want to debug button name. So I can grab the button name. So I've selected the button, I've stored it, I want to log the name of the button, and then select it. See what happens there. Oh yes, expanding the problem always works. So it should at least tell me the name of the button. If it's grabbed the object, it should tell me what the name of it is. Now, I typically try to code like that to begin with. Hopefully, yeah. Okay, so it goes down, index 1, carousel 1, continue. Nothing logged. Nothing logged. Up 0, carousel 0, new game. Down 1, carousel 1, continue. Down 2, carousel 2, options. Why does the select stop logs? I don't know, it doesn't seem to be... Like, the log should happen before the select. But I am selecting buttons here, and you can see it's not logging. Could select be a problem too? Because if it can stop logs, what else can it stop? Is this true? You can see it's not actually logging. Tell you what, as we've expanded the code, I can just comment out the actual selection part now. So I should effectively see the buttons select the unity. Yeah, it is. It's part of the button. Because buttons are a built-in feature of Unity. If I go to definition, see if it will expand it out. Buttons. Here we go. So this is the this is the code within Unity. So Unity engine.ui. On click example. So on click press. So sometimes this is good to read because it gives you a breakdown of the functions. Is that the proper way of calling it? Because I know sometimes engine stuff want you to call certain functions in a specific way. It's true. I've not really looked into it. This is just me guessing. On submit. What we want is select. Is there a select function here? Okay, let's close that. Can we debug the actual select function? Control F. Yeah, I didn't see it. Let's we go straight to the function here. Okay. Ah, it's under selectable rather than button. So it's a function of selectable, not of button. So it's higher. So is button a... Is button of type selectable, I'm guessing. Well, it's probably externation on selectable. I'd say so, yeah. But yeah, either way, extension. Yeah, extension of that. Interactable. Yeah, because there's going to be a few UI controls with similar properties. But either way, it's within that. So if I highlight that, it just says selectable.select. Let's go back to button again. Let's double check that because it should reference. I don't know why it's not colouring that properly. But... Oh yeah, selectable. There we are. So it inherits selectable iPointer click handler and iSubmit handler. Or extends those functions. Depending on your terminology. But yeah. So I could do let's do a quick lookup, see if there's any better documentation on button selection. Button select. Let's see what the documentation is on that. Accessing the selection state. No. Scripting you. Oh yeah, scripting API button. Let's have a look at the documentation for buttons. Now select the first button. On click, all selectables enabled. Tag game object. Image navigation. Public methods. Select. Selects is selectable. Well, that's good to know. So there is a Determine which of the 4 move directions the next selectable object should be found. Is active. Returns true if game object and component are active. Find selectable. Find selectable object next to this one. Oh. Find selectable on down. Find the selectable object below this one. So the left to the right and up. So there is additional functionality within the UI system to jump to the next object on the UI in a given direction. Now, is that going to be better than having an index? Let's have a quick look on documentation on that. Selectable, a selectable object below the current. Find selectable object below this one. UI.selectable.find selectable on down. So using the UIs, yes. So public button, start button. Disables selectable UI element directly below. So selectable second button equals start button dot find selectable button down. Maybe. Might get the wrong element. This is true. Like it seems very open to the interpretation of the function. But yeah, it basically can go current button dot find selectable on down, and it will basically select the next object, that UI object that is selectable below the current one, and then you can do something with that. I don't know if that's the right direction to go, as you say. Indexing more precise if it's complex, yeah. I get the wrong elements. Because in theory it should work. So all I'm doing is cycling an array. It doesn't matter what it is, I'm cycling it. This is kind of the core thing of programming. Cycling through an array. Pretty much every language can do this without any extensions. Oh yes, 2 hours of being screwed over by an array and a dot select. Pretty much. This entire stream has just been battling with an array. I'll have to go away and do some reading. How far are we from going down the rabbit hole and which way to select a button? The confusing thing is, this is still happening, but the logs aren't. That's what I can't get my head around. Like, I wonder if I could do moving this out of the update function. Because what do we have down here? So we have on input. So we could put it into actually onto here. So it's not. Could move it out of the update function because we're doing this. We're grabbing that. We could then just go straight to having this if statement. I'll copy that and then I'll comment it out. But at the moment we're relying on the doesn't make sense not to have it here. Wait, does Unity limit the amount of logs that can happen so it won't overflow? Not to this extent, at the very least. Like, I can have an entire screen of logs. Because Godot stops print statements from printing to the console too many times in a short period of time. We'll try this. There's no reason why I can't just call this function immediately after grabbing the value. Like it doesn't make sense to call it within the frame update. And that's so the frame update is doing nothing now. So we remove the frame update from the element. So just the on move input function, like the event on move input event, is then incrementing the delay. If it's above 20, it's a delay that causes issues. This isn't 20 frames anymore because it's just the input. We could move the delay. Let's see how it looks now. Whether the delay is causing issues, we've got to scrutinize everything. I'll give this a quick test and then I'll wrap the stream up because I've been doing it for 2 hours. Always call buttons index select and all move up and down is change the index and carousel the index. Always call buttons and all move up and down. Do is change the index. Yeah. Oh yeah. I could do actually. Yeah. So it's always selecting the that button and then we're just changing the index. So move up and down. Very done and optimized. Yeah, I'm splitting out, unless it works, of course, yeah. So the move up and move down is effectively just adding or minusing from the index. And then we're running this. So effectively, I could just call set selection and then just go copy. And then move up and down. We could then take the move up is just and move down is plus plus. That's effectively what the code is doing. We're just kind of breaking it out. So on the event of input, the delay stops it from happening straight away, which I'm not sure about, but still. It then grabs just the Y value, resets the delay. Then if it's greater than the threshold, minus from the index. If it's less than the threshold, minus threshold. Then plus the index and then reset selection. So that does mean this is a redundant function. That is a redundant function. So we are getting less and less code here. So that's carouseling there. That's the leftover thing, and that's just releasing. Okay, we'll have a quick look at what this is. As I say, we'll wrap the stream up then. We'll go away and we'll think about what we've done. It appears to be doing something a bit more involved, but it's been a bit more erratic about it. Contemplate our life decisions, yes. So, selected button, new game. Index 1, carousel 1, continue. Index 3, carousel 3, quit. Index 0, carousel 0, new game. Index 1, carousel 1, continue. Index 3, it did option. So it's skipping over. So the delay thing isn't working now. So maybe I just need to look at the delay. Now that's kind of featuring, but it seems to be carouseling, but it's skipping over options. So we have progress in one direction, but then regressed in another direction. Does that work for the... It won't carousel on the D-pad. The D-pad doesn't carousel. And the D-pad doesn't also log either. So it's not logging with the D-pad, it is logging with the thumbstick. Next week, Friday, read, regret, refactor. Yeah. Not up to anything next week otherwise, am I? No. Yeah, next Friday, I have an idea. The carousel works. It just seems to be flying for the options too quickly. So probably need to rework the input delay somehow. So on move input, we don't want the delay to happen here. We want to check whether we've already moved in a particular direction. Instead of handling the D-pad and the thumbstick separately, you round the Y value to the nearest whole number and just input 1 or 0 into the functions that handle the movement in the D-pad. So it's handling the thing that handles both the D-pad and the thumbstick is because I've told it to basically it's all handled by the IA move under the move actions. But as you say, when we're actually capturing the value of Y, we need to make that a whole number. So we could do some kind of rounding here. So this is where we're capturing whether we pushed up or down on the D-pad or the thumbstick. But because we're reading, the thumbstick gives us a decimal, whereas the D-pad gives us a whole number. This is saying we can guarantee that it's always going to be a whole number. We do have a threshold value now, don't we? So we could put this into here that if it's not quite what I was after. Let's go back. So if y is greater than the threshold or y is less than that, it needs to be two separate things. So I shall grab that and I'll handle that separately. So if it's greater than the threshold, then move y needs to equal 1. And if there we go. If y is less than minus threshold, then make it -1. So this makes it absolute then. Then it should be an else 0, I suppose. Just to guarantee that it's not actually anything. Else 0. So this guarantees then we're gonna so this will guarantee either a 1, a 0, or -1. Which kind of makes this whole section, well, this thing a little bit redundant because I can replace that with 0 now. But it still holds true that it's above the threshold. But it means as soon as we're grabbing a value, it's been adjusted. See if that makes a difference. But we are effectively duplicating that at this point here. But we're guaranteeing values. We'll test that and then we really will finish the stream. But the more certainties you can guarantee, hopefully it should reveal the less certain things. That looks cleaner. I say, but still some weird stuff going on. Okay. Yeah, still weird stuff. We'll handle it next week. We'll move on to the seeing what's going on, but it's behaving better overall. Behaving better overall. It's just working out the delay of it now. But I don't want it to move to the next button so quickly. Suggest we flip off the code and say goodnight. Yeah. That sounds like a good idea. I need to get this shirt off because I am soaked through this. And have a shower and get some sleep. But thank you for the help tonight, bots. It's much appreciated. Been a few things I would never have thought about, and it's certainly progressed us forward. But we'll continue next Friday. See if we can work out this. Probably rethink the delay. I'll probably remove the delay from it and then think out how we can stop it moving the index up so quickly if it's only just move the index. So I might have to write it on a piece of paper and then apply it. Well, enjoy your stream. See you next Friday. Thank you, Bob. Glad to hear. And yeah, I hope you have a good weekend. I'll be back on Monday, sort of trying to get that rock go and do things. And then Wednesday doing Trine 5, might be the last Trine 5 stream because we might complete it next week. And then Friday doing more Unity stuff then. Good night, Hug Junkie. Enjoy your weekend. Thank you, bots. You too. So see you all next week. Have a good night all. I'll see you then. Right.